Right, YouTube, Shadow King Nazru. I'm here to do my review of Resident Evil Afterlife. So we start off the movie with a flashback of a zombie outbreak in Japan, which is kind of pointless because we already we already know that the zombie outbreak went global when the airborne and movie only T virus spread throughout the world as a Resident Evil extinction. Then we hear Alice do her speech of how the virus broke out to the world, which is kind of pointless to the audience and to the narrative, considering that most of the audience would know had they seen the previous films. And on top of that, most of the people in the world are dead, so who would she be telling the story to? And you'll also notice that the movie has a lot of slow motion to drag out the movie and to show off the 3D, which is kind of a poor choice to do. And you'll also notice that we have a new actor for Wesker, who looked an awful lot like he either belongs in Abercrombie or in a porno movie. And he's one of those people that shoots his subordinates for doing the most trivial of things, and just to teach them a lesson. And then we see the Umbrella soldiers go off to fight out, to confront Alice at an elevator, though as expected, she used the air vents to get to get to them, and kills them off with stupid gravity-defying slow motion moves, and then kills the second wave with psychic powers. So why did she just kill the first with the psychic powers? And then one of them manages to kill her behind the back, but as we established in Resident Evil Extinction, Alice has a bunch of Alice clones. So yeah, the one that was killing them off is a bunch of Alice clones. And it turns out that they all have the same powers as Alice, so had Umbrella not been stupid and put these Alice clones in death traps, they could have amassed a super Alice clone army. Oh, wow. And then we see more rip-offs of the Matrix, and Wesker manages to kill off two of the clones just by standing there and shooting, while everyone else dies by doing anything else. And then Wesker proceeds to blow up the Umbrella facility, killing all the Alice clones. And it's kind of funny that Paul W. Anderson builds up the whole Alice clone army in Resident Evil Extinction, only for it to be completely just swept aside by the first act. This probably was like 5-10 minutes tops. Wow. And then Wesker is held at gunpoint by the real Alice, which we can tell is the real Alice because she had a different hairstyle than the other Alice clones, but she gets injected with the antivirus. And it turns out Wesker somehow managed to fuse with the T-virus and became a super-powered human, even more powerful than Alice, and proceeds to kick her ass. I'm going to start rooting for the villain now. Hooray, Wesker! And unfortunately, Wesker forgot to turn on the autopilot, and the helicopter crashes into a mountain. And because Alice has no powers, she's just told, I can limp away from a mountain collision and barely have a scratch on me, Alice. Then we see Alice heading to Alaska while doing video logs, which again is kind of pointless since there's nobody to tell this to. And we can also see that Alaska looks pretty normal, even having a body of water, which doesn't make sense because according to Resident Evil Extinction, the whole world was basically a giant desert, and all bodies of water were dried up by the T-virus. And yeah, that was stupid, but you can at least, if the water bodies have turned back to normal, can you at least give us an explanation, Paul W. Anderson? The best I can think of is that either Paul Anderson realized this was pretty freaking stupid and decided to retcon it without an explanation, or the equally more option is that Paul W. Anderson forgot the whole desert thing he wrote this. So anyway, Alice is searching for Arcadia, and she's surprised that she can't find a town set up after the apocalypse on a map. No, a map set that was made before the zombie apocalypse. Dumbass. And Alice sees a whole bunch of deserted plains and starts to think that all of Alaska is deserted. And then suddenly Claire Redfield attacks Alice, but Alice KOs her. And she sees that Claire was being controlled by the spider bots that Jill had from Resident Evil 5. I'm referring to the games because I'm not referring to the 5th Resident Evil movie, which we're not at right now. And Claire ends up with the cliche and useless amnesia, because it works so well for the first Resident Evil movie and Raimi Man 3, so it's gonna be, she's gonna just slowly regain her memory as the movie goes along, when it's not gonna be much help, and it's gonna be a giant mess. Also, we see a satellite is tracking Alice. The movie wants to pretend that this is an important plot point, but as we go along, we'll see that it really isn't. And Alice and Claire go to Hollywood and see that the place is being burnt down. Guess zombies are a bunch of arsons. And Alice spots survivors on a rooftop with buildings surrounded by a zombie. And nearly crashes the plane, but is saved by Luther West. I think Luther West was a nice guy and could have had potential to be a good character, but Paul David Anderson kind of underdeveloped him with his writing, so yeah, oh well. And then we also meet other people who don't even have names, so we naturally won't have to pay attention to them because they're basically just cannon fodder for the zombies to get into. And we also see that Claire forgot her manners, as she doesn't shake hands with Luther and just bumps into him and walks away. Wow, bitch move, Claire. Then we see that Alice gets told by one of the survivors that Arcadia isn't a town, but actually a ship gathering survivors. So how did someone confuse ship for town? That's kind of a big fuck up there. And we see that Claire remembers people planning to take them to Arcadia, but can't remember what happened. Oh, great. Just like I said, memory restoral coming back in the usual manner. Completely useless. And the survivors make a home in a prison. Walking Dead did it better. That's all I'm going to say about that. And one of them suggests taking 2 at a time to check Arcadia to see if it's okay to go there, but Luther doesn't think it's a good idea, even though it actually is, to check it out to see if it's safe and make plans for it. And then Alice meets Chris Redfield, a character from the games, which in this movie series would just be the character in name only, as he has none of the personality, backstory, and you know the rest. And is played by one of the Prison Break stars. And so that this doesn't seem anything like Prison Break, he's a good guy stuck in prison. Yep. And at least Paul W. Anderson catch the fact that Chris Redfield is Claire Redfield's brother, but that's pretty much the whole point of him being in this movie, so yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. And Chris offers to help everyone escape the prison in exchange for his own freedom, but Alice says it's pointless since they would be stuck in one way or another. And Luther thinks that Chris is a killer because he can see it in his eyes. Oh, so then by that logic, I've seen my neighbor. When I look into his eyes, I think that he's with Al-Qaeda. Okay, maybe I went a little too far with that one. There might be people who are still grieving over 9/11. Sorry about that. So basically, the whole survivors group has just been stuck here in a stalemate instead of going with the actual plan of a leap of faith of taking this guy's advice to get out of the prison, only just so Alice could arrive and have enough sense to tell everyone that, hey, let's get the plan to get out of this prison from the one guy who knows how to escape from this prison. Yeah, so you're starting to see one of the biggest problems is that not only are these characters for the most part useless without Alice, they're all dragging the plot with their own stupidity. Then we see Alice get interrupted before getting naked by a peeping Tom. So yeah, no naked Alice. That's different. And then they're suddenly attacked by Lost Plagas infectee. Oh wait, I must have read that wrong. There's no way they could have Lost Plagas at this point. No, I read that. Damn it, Paul W.S. Anderson. Lost Plagas are created by a parasite, not the T-virus. And only fans of the games would know that and realize they don't belong in this movie at this point, while non-fans will just be confused at how could zombies get to this point. So yeah, Paul W. Anderson has Lost Plagas because he either watched some person play Resident Evil 5 or Resident Evil 4. And Alice decides to get the people to release Chris Redfield for help, and Chris tries to talk to his sister, but Claire doesn't remember and she acts hostile to him. So yeah, the whole point of Chris being here is completely wasted because Claire doesn't remember him. And then everybody gets attacked by the zombie plagas, whatever they are, while Claire and Alice fight the Executioner who was a stage boss from Resident Evil 5. One would ask, where did the Executioner come from? That same person should realize that you don't get answers, you just get stupidity. And, yeah. Claire almost defeats the Executioner since Alice got KO'd, but nope, of course, this is Resident Alice, so Alice is the one that kills the Executioner, and even has to make Claire duck to dodge the axe. Damn, Claire's so useless without her. And Chris and Alice decide to get the guns from the armory, which, according to Chris, was at the bottom levels, even though that all the other lower levels were flooded. So it's kind of amazing that the guns didn't get ruined by water. And then the producer guy betrays one of his survivor members to take Alice's plane. And Alice starts using her normal abilities to fight off a horde of zombies and uses dual-wielding shotguns with coins instead of bullets. You know, there's probably some of you are wondering why I'm not using my Bible to do my running gag of hitting myself with the Bible just to negate the whole stupidity of this movie. Well, I'm saving that for Resident Evil Retribution because something tells me I'm going to need that. So yes, Alice is using coins instead of bullets because somehow coins wouldn't ruin or jam the gun, and they're actually more powerful ammo than bullets. Then everyone takes the tunnels made by the undead, so Chris helping was somewhat superfluous. Then Luther gets caught, but the others escape to Arcadia. Somehow. I'll just assume that they swim there. Then Claire says that Arcadia is a trap. No shit, Claire. And the place is an umbrella layer containing people like Kmart for unexplained experiments, I suppose. And Wesker says that he was expecting them because he's been tracking Alice with the satellites, which again was pointless since Alice was going to make her way to Arcadia regardless. So yeah, Wesker, you didn't do anything. And get this, Wesker is apparently having trouble controlling his powers, so he'll be more like the regular infectees. and he says that the only way to keep balance is by consuming Alice because she was the only one to perfectly bond with the T virus. So yes, Wesker's whole plan in this movie was to eat Alice to gain control of his powers. Wow, just wow. That's gotta be one of the lamest villain motivations I have heard in a long time. And then Wesker mentions how Chris and Claire have been quite a bit of a nuisance when he was fighting them, which kind of doesn't make sense because in the games that would make sense since Claire, Chris, and Wesker have a history towards each other, but in these movies, Claire was just some girl who had a convoy with a bunch of survivors, and Chris Redfield was in jail, so Wesker shouldn't even know these people. And Alice even said that she reminded Wesker that she was bringing friends, which when she originally said that was the clones, which she already brought. Wow. And here I was joking that Paul W.S. No, I wasn't joking. Yeah, so yeah, once again, Paul W.S. Anderson basically pulled the Masashi Kishimoto in referencing his previous establishment so incorrectly. Oh, and also the producer guy is helping Wesker because why the hell not? And Wesker puts away the Claire and Chris because Resident Alice and Kmart, who's perfectly capable of wielding a shotgun, passes the shotgun to Alice so Alice can kill Wesker because Resident Alice. And Wesker manages to survive getting shot in the head because plot armor, but is caught in a plane explosion, which chances are that since Wesker has plot armor, that's not going to kill him. And Alice and the others rescue everyone on the boat, and Wilfred is still alive because somehow he had infinite ammo, and why the hell not? And Jill and her squad, who are under Umbrella's spider robot control, start going to capture Alice, leading into Resident Evil Retribution. So, yeah. Once again, Resident Evil Retribution was another stupid movie over-glorifying the Mary Sue Alice, while making every character useless, and having the most asinine plot because why the hell not? Yeah, so, yeah. That was Resident Evil Afterlife. And next there will be Resident Evil Retribution. But I'm going to need to take a moment before I get to that movie. So yeah, I'll probably have a couple of videos up later. I'll see you guys later. Oh, God.